Okay. Well, I've been using this for quite a while. Well, a lot. And what do I think of it? The more I use it, the more I like it. There's a lot of things that I want. It exceeded my expectation. Oh, I guess the other radio's on. Let me just turn the volume down. Okay, so this way I won't compete with my voice. Initially, I used dual mode, which is great. It works fantastic. But lately, for some reason, I've kind of switched back to this for now. The capacity or to store your repeater information, I'm impressed with it. I'm going to also talk about Bluetooth there, but let me just quickly go into memory. Just in case, you have to kind of scroll to the next window. There's one item called memory. Enter it. The memory channel, you have capacity of 1,000 memories channels. And I believe the maximum groups would be 99. So you have 99 groups, so you can put 1,000 memories into it. Now, if you travel a lot, because it has a SD card, and it supports a very large capacity. I know I have a 256 gigabyte SD card on it. So the file size is very small. So I could end up creating a file for every province or every state, for example, or anywhere that you're going to travel. So this way you don't have to look up the repeater that you happen to arrive at a location in a hotel. So it basically allows you to keep your files that you normally use at home, and then when you take a trip and not having to lose all that information because you've got a copy of it on the SD card, all you have to do is go in, do an import, and select whatever area that you're in. So you can have thousands and thousands of repeater information. Just download it raw from repeater book, and for the area that you want, name it, put on your SD card. And another thing, this is the memory. Let me just go back. We'll go to RptList. When you first get this radio, as I think mentioned before, you will get about 2,500 repeater lists, all D-Star repeaters from Africa to Zendu, whatever. Unlikely you will ever talk to them. I basically replaced it with all of or most of Canada. Not just the D-Star repeaters, but every FM 2 meter and 70 centimeter repeater. And in my case, I sorted in such a way. I did that before, and I decided to change it a little bit. And because it's so quick to look up, I said that let's create a group for every province. Now, this particular repeater list, you only have 50 groups, so you have a limit of 50 groups, but you can fill it up with about 2,500 memories. Okay, so there you go. I got all of Canada in there, would you believe? And not just D-Star repeaters. FM, 2 meters, 70 centimeters. What's the advantage of that? Okay. The advantage of having, for example, a whole province or wherever I travel on the radio, I can go into DR mode, and I go to where it says Calgary, from, and then I have near repeaters. I can select all, or just the digital voice, or FM. So I go to all. Out of that 2,500, it quickly found all these repeaters, and if you notice, it gives you the distance. So this can be very handy if you're in another province, that you're checking in a hotel, so forth, and you got your handheld. Yeah, let's get out of this again. Right off the bat, all the repeaters that are handy nearby, how far they are, the likelihood that you'll be able to get in because of the distance, unless you happen to be staying at the bottom of a hill somewhere. So it's great for that. So if you're mobile a lot, this is fantastic. There's one more interesting feature that I thought was interesting. Has to do with memory, but FM radio. If my memory serves me right, you can store like 500, maybe more. I just can't recall offhand, but it's enough. So I go to the menu and select FM radio memory. Because of the large capacity of memory, I thought I'd try something. I basically downloaded all the FM radio stations in the whole province. I think it's probably a couple hundred or 300, closely to that. And then, of course, I alphabetized it so that the name of the city that the radio station is in will show up. And this is what I did. As you can see, whenever I am in that particular area, I have the list of all the stations. The only thing left I'm going to do, I might make the description a little bit better than the default of this particular list, but it's there. As you can see, it's quite a few. And if you notice, India, I is missing. It's because there was no town to begin with the letter I that had a radio station. Same with Kilo, which is fine. And Q as in Quebec. So when we're off-grid, camping, wherever we are, I don't have to scan to find out the radio stations. I have it on the tip of my finger, on my handheld. I believe it's 500. I have to look it up. I know I had no problem to fill it. There is a limit on a group on this. I think it's 26, 27. Yeah. It's from A to Z, 26. But you can put 500 within that 26 groups, at least. That's something you may want to do. Okay, we'll proceed with the rest of the stuff. I have been using this handheld for terminal mode using the Icom software. It's working fantastic. I have to admit, I do like it on the iPad better. I can get it working on my iPhone, but it's a small screen and I use it for other things. So it is less of a hassle when you're using the iOS 17 and iOS 18. I can get it to go, but I have to kind of play with the Bluetooth sometimes. But other than that, it works great. And I'm still getting fantastic audio report. For a while, when I was working some of the local ones, I don't know, the audio was terrible. I didn't know what was going on. I'm assuming it's probably the hotspot devices that they're using. I know some of the hotspot devices will claim that their audio quality is way better than other brands. So something to keep in mind. I'm certainly having good success using this in terminal mode. You have to connect to your software that you're using, or hotspot, and by Bluetooth. I know on the 705 it's Wi-Fi, and there's a few different options, but very similar. If you go to menu, go to settings, go to functions, you go to CIV. I'm assuming you didn't change any of the addresses. I just used the default, but verify that the addresses are correct. As for baud rate, I have set for auto. I know on some apps they seem to work better when you select 19200 or something else, but try auto first. This was off in the beginning. I don't know if I turned it off by accident or that was the default setting, but you gotta have that on for CIV transceive. Okay, and Bluetooth, again, the address 00. Be sure that's correct. Okay, and USB connect, be sure it's serial port. Okay, USB function, I usually have it off. I know on the MacBook I had to turn on Echo on one of the versions of the operating system because it had a problem communicating, which could be incompatibility or a bug, but no issues with the iPhone or the iPad. It's only on the MacBook that I noticed that. And, try it on. If it doesn't, but default is off, so I just leave it at that. Okay. Another area that you want to verify, again, you go into settings. I scroll down from functions, not towards the end. You have Bluetooth set up. Be sure it's on. I have auto connect on. Pair and connect. It's interesting that I have a Bluetooth speaker and I could not pair with it. But if I went to device search, if I did a search data device, I couldn't find it. But if I went to headset, it would find it. Right now it's connected to my 705, so I'm not sure if it will show up. Probably not. So you may want to try those different options if you're having issues. No device found. Okay, I expected that because it is connected to my 705. If for some reason you're still having difficulties, I basically initialize the Bluetooth device. Gives you a fresh start. So that's the different version numbers that you have. Normally you would put it in here. You would run the Icom software, the RMS like C1 or the 3 IO, and it should connect when it attempts to do a pairing. If it fails, I would then attempt to connect directly with it, going to the iPad or some other settings. I never had no issues with the iPad, but with the MacBook, I would go in, connect it directly, or attempt it, and then I would remove it, and then go through this process, and it will connect. So hopefully it will work smoother as they update and fix some of the bugs there. Otherwise, it works great. And also, another thing that you have to do if you're having trouble connecting, you need to put this in DV gateway mode. And it's important that you select Bluetooth. I guess by default it was on USB, at least at one time anyways. So Bluetooth, or I could have connected on USB because when I was testing with Doozy, I used the cable. So it's important. If you're using Bluetooth, Bluetooth. If you're using USB, USB. And that's another option. If you happen to have a USB cable, which is just a regular USB-C, you know, the ones that came with all my other devices, it worked. So if you're having issues with Bluetooth, try USB and see if that would get you going. Okay, and then once that's properly set up, you need to be in terminal mode. Okay, and once you're in, you need to enter the address that you found when you went on the internet and selected an IP domain address and the appropriate gateway address. There's one advantage that the 705 has. I don't need to use the software because I have a settings which exists. There would have been a settings in here for me to enter the domain address on the 705. On this, you enter the domain address on the app itself.
Yeah, I'll let you go for your lunch. I'm just going to check on a couple.
If you're having issues to connect to the RSMS3i, it's a free Icom software which you can download from Icom Japan. Try the RSMS1i. It requires less configuration, and not only that, but you can verify your address, CIV addresses are correct, and a few other settings. You can even create some default settings. You may want to try that regardless, just to be sure. Verify everything, because that's basically what I did in the beginning. If this has proved to be helpful, I'm glad. And if you haven't subscribed, it would be appreciated. Please subscribe and thumbs up, and have a nice day.